At one time in the past, New Orleans had meant many things. Had meant jazz and Creole and the pulse of life, had meant Mardi Gras and parties and abandon, had meant creeping luxurious green decay. Now it meant only one thing: loss. More dead jungle ruins flashed past, an astonishing amount of wealth and materials left to rot and fall back to the green tangle of the trees and swamps. "Why do they give up?" Naylor asked. "Sometimes people learn," Toole said. From that, Naylor took him to be saying that mostly people didn't. The wreckage of the twin dead cities was good evidence of just how slow the people of the accelerated age had been to accept their changing circumstances. The train curved toward the hulking towers. The shambled outline of an ancient stadium showed beyond the spires of Orleans, too, marking the beginning of the old city, the city proper for drowned lands. "Stupid," Naylor muttered. Toole leaned close to hear his voice over the wind, and Naylor shouted in his ear, "They were damn stupid." Well, book fighters, it is Friday, May 18th, and I just read Shipbreaker by Paolo Bacigalupi. You would think it would be common sense that you didn't use a horrifying tragedy that befell an entire city to write some stupid eco book thing, but apparently it is not common sense, and apparently you win prizes for using people's heartbreak to teach the world a fucking lesson. I'm sorry, okay. I'm sorry, but there's going to be cursing in this video. I can't help myself. It just comes out when I think about what an asshat this author is. So apparently it's not common sense, and apparently some ideas in this book resonated. So I am going to explain why we rebuilt our city, which I would think people would have enough empathy to understand, but apparently asshats don't have such capacity for empathy and human emotion. And while I could talk about Katrina and all of its horrors for hours and hours and hours, I will focus on one small thing and hope it's universal enough for you guys to understand why we had to rebuild our city, and why it is not stupid, and why it is not whatever he's trying to say it is. So in New Orleans, we love crawfish. We've always loved crawfish. There are billions of them in the water around here, and we eat them like crazy because they taste amazing. And any New Orleanian will tell you that the simplest way to see whether or not somebody is from New Orleans is to see whether or not they are able to peel a crawfish. Because you don't learn how to peel a crawfish in a book or just by picking it up. You learn how to peel a crawfish correctly because you're taught by a fellow New Orleanian. And usually this is a parent or a sister or an uncle who sits by you when you're 4 or 5 years old and shows you how to do it. And it's a tradition that's been passed on for hundreds and hundreds of years. And it's something that connects us to our past and to each other, and is an identifier, and it's very important to us, no matter how small of a thing it may seem. So when 7 years ago we were watching our city flood, we were watching the possible end of this tradition. We had to consider the possibility that maybe our children and our grandchildren would never learn how to peel crawfish, that they would not have the same connection to our past and the same sense of groupness that we all had. And it was a terrifying prospect, because as we all know, a city is not just houses and buildings. A city is far, far more than that. It's where all of our memories are. It's our entire world. My family's been here for 150 years. No one has escaped this city yet. Obviously, it's part of who we are, and so to watch it be destroyed, it was watching everything we've ever worked for and everything we've ever loved be destroyed. And one of the things that Katrina taught us all was that everything ends, everything has an ending. And while we do understand that one day the city might be underwater, there's no reason to give up on it. My neighbor, just 50 feet beyond this bookshelf, built a house that is biodegradable so that when the city's underwater, the house will disintegrate instead of hurting the environment. But you know what? They built the house anyway, because even if something is going to end, and everything does, if you love it, you have to fight for it until it does. And so that is what we are going to do. And you know what? Maybe you cannot understand that Paolo Bacigalupi. Maybe you have not loved anything enough to fight as hard for it, and I can't help you with that. But if you ever loved anything and you've ever needed to fight for it, even if you didn't think you were going to win, that's what we're doing. And so maybe we may be stupid, but everyone in love is stupid. I thought this book was crap, and I thought the author was an asshat. Even though the book was 80% of the way to being a pirate book, it was so close to being a pirate book, but it wasn't, and instead it was a slap in the face. And if you all would, I would love it if you would read One Dead in the Attic, a book by Chris Rose, because it says everything that needs to be said about Katrina. And this will probably be my only internet video ever on the subject, but I just thought you guys should know. And I love you, and have a great week.